Still the wild scenario. We can hear your claps, Rab.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was surprised none of your kids watched In the Night Garden. It is brilliant.
I don't have kids for a start.
Yeah,
Well, no, I don't doubt.
That you know about.
That you know about. Yeah, exactly.
True.
I don't even know
Once
what it
upon a
was.
time.
Right, Emily, close your ears.
I don't even want to indulge this joke.
Someone's listening next door.
Yeah.
It's just
Can
too
we
easy.
go back to Iggle Piggle, please? I was enjoying
Piggle,
that.
piggle. Yeah. No.
Right,
It
go
is
on.
a bit.
Tell me
it is
about these characters, Rab. I have
is a
no
bit-
idea what.
It is a bit
In the
fever
Night Garden.
dreamish, but ever since Nellie's got into a bit of routine, and plus she's watching a lot more television now, I've just been enjoying it with her. It's great. Teletubbies. She loves Tinky Winky. Loves Lala.
Just like her dad.
What? Yeah, I was gonna say that when she sees Macca Packer in the Night Garden, does she say "Daddy"?
No, she likes the Tumbly Boos more, and the Ponty
Tumbly
Pants.
Boos.
and the Pinky Punk. The Pinky Punk is
Sorry,
like
I need to search this because I don't feel like I'm getting the
So the Pinky Punk is like it's like what do they call those giant they used to have them in, I say, the olden days, but they used to be like giant balloons, and they're like aeroplanes. They're a source of travel, but they're like a giant
Hot air balloon.
A hot air balloon?
No,
Oh, blimp.
no.
A blimp.
A blimp. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
yeah.
said.
A blimp.
Ah.
A blimp. And that's called
Tomato,
the,
tomato.
Yeah, that's the Pinky Punk, and then it just makes these farting noises as it flies around.
That's funny.
She loves that as well, which is obvious, really.
So you're giving us ideas on what to buy Nelly for her birthday, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was actually on the site because I'm going to go watch him live soon, where it all kicks off, and they got loads of adult clothing.
off.
They've got more adult clothing than they do kids clothing. So
Are you gonna dress up?
no,
Are
maybe
you gonna
just a
be
shirt,
Iggy
just a
Biggle?
t-shirt,
What
just
is
a
it?
t-shirt, Iggle Piggle. No, I'm more of an Upsy Daisy type of guy.
Jeez. Right, we've lost about half our viewership now.
I know, yeah, exactly.
Why was it cancelled? I'm just seeing. Hang on.
Why was what cancelled?
In the Night Garden.
No, it hasn't been cancelled. Was it? Surely not. Oh, I'm watching it.
It said it was in 2010 for after 100 episodes.
Oh, you're joking. No more.
There's so much lore about this because
I know,
the next
yeah.
question that's asked is, what is the deeper meaning of In the Night Garden?
So that's the thing, because it is such a fever
Hang
dream.
on. I can't repeat some of these. I have to put this question in text so you guys can read it and I don't say it out loud. I'm not going to do that.
I don't know what my phone is.
I'm screenshotting that for later.
Brilliant. All right, well, we'll let you know what it is. Viewers back home.
Oh my god.
That's brilliant. Right.
Okay,
Okay, well,
good.
let's get into it, because we've spoken for 4 minutes about In the Night
In
Garden.
the Night Garden.
In the Night
That's
Garden
In
lore.
the Night Garden if you want to search
Yes,
that.
on BBC. Watch it.
Very good.
Yeah. Welcome everybody back to Spill the TCG podcast with myself, Benjamin Yard, and of course my good friends Joe Bernard and Alex Day. Yes, that is Benjamin Yard now. That change is official.
Yeah.
And the only thing I haven't changed now is my Limitless page. So Robin, if you are listening, I have messaged you.
I'm imagining just how many messages you've sent him.
every day before bed. Still hasn't read it. Joking.
Robin, you didn't put a Mimikyu next to my Snorlax. And
Always messaging him, giving him the feedback. Yeah, so it's obviously been a week since we've uploaded on our regular schedule. I say regular schedule, it chops and changes, doesn't it? But
When we
we've left a week out, so obviously we must have been getting on to some heavy stuff recently. I did ask you all to prepare as to a speech as to what you've been up to lately, and all of you both have just kind of been staring. What have I done in the past week? Mainly to do with football, really. I guess we've all been enjoying the latest football. Celtic winning the league,
love that.
etc. Dal, I'll start with you first. What have you been up to lately?
What have I been up to? I think just generally, obviously, it's been before. Let's start again. We haven't had an episode since me and Joe have been in Seville, so obviously I was having a great time there. Wonderful
We had
city,
some great
wonderful
pictures
place
as well. It looked like we were a couple in some of them.
I made Joe go see some of the sites, otherwise he would have been stuck in a hotel room as
That was a great night, to be fair. I'm very glad we went out.
So it was a really, really enjoyable place. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we get a chance to go back again. Really, really beautiful city. Other than that, honestly, it's just been like busy with my day job and day life and work and kids, and it's a busy couple of months, I guess, in sort of the May, June period. So I'm just trying to make the most of just being at home, because otherwise I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. So yeah, I think I posted up. I was teaching my kid how to ride a bike, so that was good fun. Lots of football, which has been, I guess, more good now. But then also there's still just a final to go, which is but at least we're there,
A real
and I
team
get to laugh.
as well. That's actually
Exactly.
Coin flip, I'd say it's a coin flip.
I can't tell you how invested I am into this Europa League final. As a
storylines.
As a neutral, I'm so excited because Talk Sport after that game is going to be nuts. Regardless of who wins, regardless of who loses.
I do need Jason Cundy to be on that one. I need the sound effects to be coming in, win or lose for whoever.
How you think about it, Joe, is that whoever wins or whoever loses, it's a win-win for a neutral. For a neutral, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. Yeah. And plus you have like this kind of aura around Ange being like, at the start of the year when he was just getting on to such a bad... I always win something in my second season. It's 90 minutes away from being like the sickest line ever said by a manager.
I know. That's great.
Obviously, being a Celtic fan as well, I can't wish him more than taking home the trophy. But yeah, for Man United, it's just as much on the line, I suppose, right?
Yeah. Well, again, it's like it saves the career of either manager, I think.
No, I think Ruben Amorim will not be sacked regardless.
Yeah, I think Ruben's more safe.
You say so, but
he's safe. I think Ange gets sacked if they don't win. But I think, but Ruben is 100% safe.
I don't think Amorim makes Christmas if he doesn't win
and
you carry on in the same place you are in
the issue is I know we're now talking about football and other things, but you cannot give Amorim a summer to buy players for a system and then sack him in December.
You've done that before.
You've done that.
Hang on.
Ten Hag.
You've done that for a lot of managers.
But we've had stupid owners making terrible decisions.
Oh, and now
Amorim gets this summer Amorim gets this summer and the next summer. He gets free transfer
correct, is it?
No, it's not correct. But
look, we can all settle this by saying Arsenal. Yeah.
That was a treat as well.
That was great.
That's exactly.
That was the dream. True for me.
That was the thing. I saw like an Instagram thing, and I wholeheartedly agree. So this Europa League final is almost win-win for me as well, because if United win, fantastic, obviously great. If Spurs win, I'll be upset, obviously. But I'd also enjoy the dismay Arsenal fans will have when they've seen Spurs won a trophy.
Sure. That's a good point. That's a very good point.
That is quite juicy, actually. I'm up for that.
Oh.
Plus, Man United have half the games on their schedule taken off next year, so at least you can rest up for every Saturday.
They're doing it for the rest. Yeah.
Joe, what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
I had a cousin's wedding that I went to last weekend. That was lovely in Gloucester. Went to see some friends on the Sunday as well, so that was a jam-packed bank holiday weekend, which was great. And then the weekend before, of course, Seville, commentating alongside Alex. So yeah, jam-packed couple of weeks for me, and also enjoying the football and all else. So yeah.
No, fair enough. Yeah, for myself, it's been pretty boring actually without either of you. Just been watching football and looking after the baby.
Hopping into Discord on his own. And just tumbleweed.
Exactly. Watching the Tombley and just chilling out really. I mean, obviously football jam-packed towards the end of the season. Managed to go watch Cardiff a few times over the past couple of weeks. That honestly, hands down, the worst. the tickets were half price. I was on centre circle, middle of the carriage, padded seat, and I still thought this is pointless.
Waste of money.
This is pointless. It was like trying to watch aliens pretend to play football. Yeah, it was just crazy bad. But they're down now, which is what they deserve. But anyway, yeah.
Shame.
Shame, yeah.
Season ticket holder just
I know, yeah.
ripping into them.
Awful. The difference, like if you put like Mason Mount or anybody random in that game, it would have been like 5-0. It's just that bad. But anyway, off that, playing Pokemon this weekend, actually. Playing
Where you off?
You are.
Cardiff. Miles away. Miles
Yeah.
away.
Long drive for Harriet then, is it?
Back to Firestorm. Oh, saying that, I passed my
Actually,
passed my
hang
theory.
on.
Whoa.
We're on the way.
Passed my
Ram
theory
can
on
officially
Tuesday.
ride a bicycle safely now. So, come on.
Passed my,
I don't know
passed
if
my
I
theory on
trust
Tuesday.
that, to be honest.
So for the viewers back home, I
Ram
sent.
can't drive.
I can't drive, no, but I sent. I was taking my theory on Tuesday for the third time.
Third?
Yeah, 3 times.
He
I mean,
troops
I've
up.
passed it. I've passed
I
it
had
before.
no idea.
Don't you know the story? So the funniest thing
I
is,
passed it before.
Rab
I passed it
remembers the
before.
questions that he's got wrong in the past, but not the right answer.
So
He keeps getting the same questions wrong.
So this time I got it right. So I got this question wrong twice, but this time I got it right, and it's always the same one. It's the blue circle, right? This is the sign. It's a sign now. It's a sign question. It's a blue circle with a red cross through the middle. Right?
Yeah.
Is it no waiting, or is it no stopping?
No waiting. Sure.
No, it's no stopping. No stopping.
Can't believe it.
Just the one line. The one line through is no waiting. Anyway, that was a bit of trivia for you.
What's a no
Good thing I
waiting
passed
sign?
it
Hang
years
on.
ago.
Bit of trivia. Yeah, Cardiff League Cup on Saturday, so looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's the full cross. No waiting.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What
you rocking? Walls, I imagine.
Yeah, probably. It's either walls or it's so just bad. I mean, I was rocking walls or Saraledge, so it's the two of the worst choices. I have Ogerpon as well, but I have Ogerpon, but I just don't know how to play it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play it.
Probably
It's just pointless.
Just sweep up all the basic fire energy instead.
15 energy.
I can't believe you're going to Cardiff for that.
Jamming into sleeves.
That is
Yeah.
terrible.
Well,
Wait, are you near the Ace Trainer rewards?
I might be actually. How much is
You've
it?
done a
again?
few cups by now.
It's 200, right?
Hang on.
I think I'm on like 120.
Could this be a make or break Saraledge moment? Please.
I think I'm on 120, so I could.
Okay.
I could make
Couple
it.
more.
I think I could make it. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Roll
maybe
up
I
the
try.
sleeves and-
Maybe I try then. Maybe I
Maybe
try.
I
Yeah.
try. What's the try choice of the
Pokebite
two?
Lay and Wolves.
Uh,
That's the try. That's the try.
The
hard
try.
move.
What's the try? I have for alligator. That could be the try. Not many
So
people
why
know
not?
play Ogerpon, right? So that could.
Anyway,
be the
can
try.
we
Yeah, let's just start now.
get on with it?
14 minutes in. Just
No
got to
one's-
reminder to do the timestamp for this one. Yeah, so obviously Sevilla was a couple of weeks ago, which both of you were in attendance for. So let's go through the experiences of Sevilla for both of you. Now, both of you obviously commentated, so none of you, it wasn't like a either or playing and commentating, so both of you were behind the desk. So both of you had a kind of bird's eye view on the whole party, so to speak. Did both of you go into this with the same expectation? I guess start with you, Alex.
I mean, I can't necessarily speak for Joe, but I imagine
In terms
a lot
of-
of
in
what
terms
we
of-
considered
yeah.
the meta game to be quite similar. I mean, especially based off the two events that we had going into that event, where we saw Gardevoir take down 2 majors ahead of this, following the post rotation. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there was too many massive surprises. I mean, we had a couple of breakout performances from a couple of decks that hadn't quite had that sort of success yet. But overall, I think it was quite an interesting tournament to follow. It did kind of follow a similar pattern at the end. But it was generally as you would expect. I think we saw the kind of emergence of this Joltik Rhydon deck come to the fore. Obviously, Eevees were still banging around, as it were. But yeah, the big surprises were two decks. That one was part of Joe's sort of, what was it, hot take with Frostlass Monkey Dory, or Frunky.
I was going to say, yeah, Frostlass.
What's Frunky? I've not heard
Frunky.
that.
That's
Funky
brilliant.
Kong. It's Funky
Frunky.
Kong. Come on.
That's brilliant. That's good.
Yeah, and then Zoroark had a little breakout performance again. Interesting builds as well, considering what we were able to see on stream. So yeah, it was just a good fun tournament, I think. Nothing too crazy, and in the end, yeah, me and Joe didn't get a chance to partner up. Obviously, I was partnered with Shay in a little bit of preparation, so Joe was with Amy. But yeah, it was a good tournament. I think it was just a good weekend, good vibes all around.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
The stream definitely gave off that impression as well. I think everybody was in high spirits. Of course, Joe, we as commentators, we usually go into a tournament with our mindsets around one specific thing. What gives this tournament significance over the rest of the tournaments in the lineup, or what have been? What were yours going into Sevilla?
I think the Guardy versus Dragapult tug of war was definitely a talking point that we were trying to follow throughout the couple days. I think we saw a couple of those matchups, and obviously Guardy is pretty favoured in that instance, but then it's just how much better Dragapult is against the rest of the stuff, which is still carrying it from day 1 to day 2 conversion pretty nicely. And then still there's question mark around the Noctowl engine and its overall underperformance, I would say, for how sick of an engine and how low to the ground and like consistent that is. It still feels like it's not performing as well as I'd like. I think we've started to see, not necessarily in Seville, but a little bit more in Milwaukee, some of the little tricks coming into the Noctowl builds, like having a searchable Brock or a searchable Cyrano or even searchable Rescue Board. Like, these sorts of pieces help you protect against Badu so much easier, so that one owl does just sort you out and you're like straight back into it. So I think that's a small evolution there. But yeah, I thought there'd be maybe a bit more representation of the Miraidon deck and Flareon, to be honest. They were only on our best of the rest graphics in both of those instances for day 1, and I thought there was going to be just higher representation for those, but Archaludon, I think, is starting to peter out a bit. It doesn't seem like it has great selling points, and I think even Roaring Moon could be the better poison cheese deck now, to be honest with you. So I think Archaludon's kind of lying in wait for the Monkey Dory bomb stuff that we can get in Destined Rivals. But yeah, nothing too wild, to be honest. It's weird to say that an 800 player tournament's one of the smaller ones these days, but it did feel like a much more like close-knit, smaller event. And when it's a special, not everyone, especially like from the US and whatnot, don't travel over anymore, so you don't get the same representation of the very, very top players. A lot of people have already achieved what they think is safe for an invite, so they didn't have to like come out to this one. Because it was actually an annoying country to like kind of get to for Spain. It's one of the smaller airports. Some people flew into Lisbon and then like travelled over as well.
Wow, fair.
Yeah, it's just one of the more smaller ones, but it was a nice place to walk around. We had good weather, and the venue was plenty for how many people we had. So yeah, it was all round good experience, I think, to be fair.
No, fair enough. And talking about decks and representation, I'll put up on the screen now the day 1 graphic from Sevilla. So I'll run it off for the Spotify and Apple listeners. So Dragapult with the top of rep with 21% and 170 decks representing. Then Raging Bolt in second with 12%, and then Gardevoir at 8%. Goldingo then with another 8%, but only 4 decks short of Gardevoir 68, then Archaludon 5%, and then Ogerpon Noctowl box at 5% as well. Raging Bolt still high. Still a lot of people are rocking the Raging Bolt. I think at this point it's just the linear gameplay with Raging Bolt that is bringing it to the table. But I think looking at, and we'll get into the statistics later on, but it just does have a good Dragapult matchup, or one of the better Dragapult matchups compared to the rest of the format. So you can see why people are playing it. But I think for me now, it's just the kind of linearity of the game of the gameplay that you have with Raging Bolt, and in a big tournament, you can see why people are finding it an attractive choice. But we'll come on to Milwaukee now. But I think a lot of listeners will be very in touch with TCG and how decks evolve over time. But Raging Bolt is just a completely different deck, I would say, from its previous pre-rotation archetype, and it has a lot more tricks it can play now. What do you guys both think?
I think it can play a bit more one pricey, which is kind of the big thing, right? That's the main difference, is that it has Fan Rotom, but also Baby Bolt as one of the linchpin single prize attackers. That's
People
the only
still
real
utilizing
it has.
Sliverwing's still there. I mean, it's like
Slitherwing, yeah.
I mean, you open up a can of worms, because I think there was quite a contentious debate on the old X-verse around Raging Bolt not necessarily being the most as straightforward as it used to be, and that there's maybe more nuances, as kind of Joe has alluded to.
Every deck has nuance, but sure.
Yeah,
there's much more of a rinse and repeat with Raging Bolt than with other decks, I would say.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wasn't part of that discussion. It just so happened.
I've just started.
Were...
My gloves are coming off.
Yeah.
How?
I think the only thing for
Joe
this
still hates it, basically.
The only thing for this day one graphic, I would have thought Joltik Box would have come onto this top graphic.
Yeah, me
but
too.
Maybe it was too early.
Yeah, we had the one top 4 it was one top 8 before then, just in Monterey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I believe from Tyler Matthews, top 8. It was a top 8 placement, and that was just a week before. Yeah, a week before. So maybe not enough time. And I think in Milwaukee, you'll see when we get to those statistics that people had the time to recognise that and play it enough to feel confident locking it in. Maybe just seeing, it's one of those moments where you're flying on the Friday, you see the deck list on a Monday, you think it's cool, play it for a couple of games on live, but then you go back to what you were going to play anyway.
Nah, you sleeve it up always.
Well, a handful did, but just not a huge wave, right?
No. Going on to then the best of the rest in day one, we then have Miraidon. It's put down as Miraidon Pikachu, but it's the Joltik Box sort of thing. 4%, then Goldingo, Dragapult.
3%. Combined Golden Go just quickly was also at 12%. So that would have been if you combine the two, basically the same thing, right?
Right.
More or less.
Okay.
A lot of these just use Dracloak to draw, so it would have been above Gardevoir if you combine the Dengos. Just a small bit.
Fine. And then unclassified at 3%, Terapagos, Noctowl at 3%. EX box at 3% as well. And then Zard. People, a little bit of a cult following Zard. 2% with 20 decks out of 800. It's still quite a lot for Zard. Man, that's still quite a lot.
It got a couple top 64s as well.
Yeah, it did, and it's had good results. Yeah, fair enough. But any surprises to you guys? Did you think there's anything missing on here? Is Serenage missing?
No. Well, I think as we get to the results of this weekend, we see that Zoroark kind of makes a claim for itself as being a bit of a well-placed archetype out of the bunch. But yeah, nothing else too surprising.
I think Zoroark not being on this graphic's pretty big. I suppose.
I think at this stage in Seville, probably I probably disagree. I don't. It could take, for example, that unclassified slot if that wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much further down it was, but I think it didn't have a great performance or time in the previous two tournaments ahead of Seville, right? I think one maybe did like a top 64 or something. But then this is where we then look at, if we eventually look at some of the end Zoroark lists, they are quite different. as well, right?
They're very
We saw
different,
Fabian
yeah.
Puyol early on in the stream, piloting a very unique build which had like a Hooper EX in it, and a couple of other different pieces. And then Harvey's is just pure, just burn through the deck and then hit the pieces that you need instead. So, when we even go look at Milwaukee, it's even more different when we look at, like, I think Lucas Singh played a very
the
very
bomb
different build
bird
as well at the same time, but
very different.
but yeah, I think Zoroark in this tournament finally found a home or place in the meta, and again we'll likely see it in the Milwaukee statistics as well.
Fair enough. And then going on to day 2, then there's not much change, right? Gardevoir overtakes a Raging Bolt, but we got Dragapult at the top again, 26%. Gardevoir at 14%, Raging Bolt 10%, Miraidon, Joltik at 9%, Goldengo at 6%, and then Chaladon at 5%. Chaladon, a big drop off.
No.
No,
Hell,
no, is it not? Am I wrong? Oh no, it's
It
not.
held the
Yeah,
5%.
no, it's held the 5%. Sorry, what am I thinking of?
Miraidon was the big winner of day 1 to 2, I think,
Who was I thinking of?
and Pult. obviously.
Ogopon. Oh, this Europa Versailles thing.
What?
This the
Are you
advert.
showing our viewers ads?
Yes, and we're not getting any revenue.
Oh, no.
But
The
not
future of podcast, the ads
not-
are just read out.
not much of us. Try it now on Steam. No, yeah, it's hasn't changed much actually. I don't know what I was talking about. No, Gardevoir uptick from Raging Bolt though. Gardevoir with 19 decks going into day 2. But then moving on to the best of the rest, day 2. Ogopon Noctowl then at 5%, Eevee Box at 4%, Goldengo Dragapult at 4%, and then we have the Ends Box at 4%, Terrapagos Noctowl 4%, and then Zard holding its 2%, going from 20 decks to 3, going into day 2.
Woohoo!
Yes, yippee. But what were you both thinking going into day 2 specifically, looking at the decks that made it? What were the first decks on your mind to wrap?
Harvey was XO, right? He was 8-0.
Yes.
So that was a big talking point. And then a lot I think I remember looking at round 9, so the first round of day 2. The first 12 tables either had a Dragapult or a Gardevoir among them, so they were littering those top tables. The eventual top 8 was a lot more varied, but definitely at the beginning of that day 2, it was really Pult Guardy heavy. You could point at them all the way down that first row of tables. So it felt like we were going to walk into a bunch of mirror matches and stuff in Top Cut, but it did fortunately get a bit more diverse as the day emerged, and some of these strategies like the Zoroark and Terrabox to an extent and Frostlass Monkey Dory, these sorts of decks crept in towards those top tables and just started hitting more of the Pults and more of the Guardies on their way. So then had that straight run to get through to the later stages.
Yeah, because it wasn't really the case when you were watching the stream. It didn't seem like a Dragapult fest. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't too many mirrors, and you were blessed, I guess, with the diversity going into the later rounds of a lot of different decks coming into the top, especially like Frostlass Monkey Dory and Ends Box and stuff like that. So, and Gardevoir as well, obviously making good representation as well. But Dan, what were your thoughts going into day 2? How was your experience?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of echoing what Joe said. We obviously were following a few players who had kind of snuck into the meta game, as it were. That we're going to keep talking about Frostlass Monkey Dory just because it was just a bit of a surprise for a lot of people, I guess, beyond Joe and others, I suppose.
It was definitely a known online deck, right? But we hadn't really seen.
I mean,
I know James Cox played it to a. Was it a regional that you played it to?
It was the last event before rotation for us.
Right.
He played it.
So
it looked like he was just doing it for a laugh, and ended up.
He basically said that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we were trying to follow along some of the other decks that kind of snuck in as a one-off as well. I mean, there was Hydreigon. There was a Copperaja, I believe, if I'm
It
not
certainly
mistaken.
was.
I remember us having a little look at that. But yeah, we were very fortunate. I mean, obviously we started the stream with round 9 this time, which is not something we usually do. The very first round of day 2, because it was a shorter number of rounds for day 2, so that we can then showcase more Pokemon. So it meant that we were able to kind of cherry pick.
Alex.
Was it 10? Oh, sorry. Was it 10? Oh, it felt like it was
Yeah.
9. Well, it felt like we started earlier than usual. That was the first thing.
We showed 10, 11, then Top Cut.
I kept thinking about VG, who actually had to get in before like 8 o'clock or something like that.
I did.
That was kind of crazy. So we did start at 10, but it still gave us an opportunity to see some like really odd rounds and sort of showcase a bit more. As you kind of
think what I love about
what
I love about special championships towards the end of the season is just the amount of actual diversity going into decks. I feel like people feel a lot more free to bring, whatever they feel like bringing. So we have 14 one-of archetypes going into day 2, which is really high. We obviously have some of the hits that you've already said, like Copper Raja, but we have Blissey, we have Hydreigon, we have Slacking. Slacking did pretty well as well.
That's Bernardo Diaz as well.
That's Bernardo Diaz.
He is a storied player for many years, right?
He did
strong player,
and he did pretty well. I think he made top 64, but only just missing, right? 7-3-1. So he's only a draw away.
He went 2-1
from making
day 2.
Yeah. So only a tie away from making top 32 with what you considered an unorthodox archetype. But it is a pretty good showing though, and especially for you guys behind the stage, there was a lot to look at, and it didn't turn out like we've said before, like the Dragapult Fest that we would have thought it might have been. But then looking into the top cut, it ended with 10 players on the ASIM. So 4 players having to play that asymmetrical game, and a strong British cohort of players. Performance. We have Harvey and Elliot Thomas from Wales, two Welsh players in top 8. I've never seen that before. Never will either again. And then Bolly,
don't say that.
And then Bolly making it as well, and then Thomas Abbott also making it as well. But just to whittle off the top 10, then I'll go through the decks. We have Joltik Box, only one Frostlass Munkidori, one Ogerpon, one Raging Bolt, 2 Gardevoir, and 3 Dragapult, and then 1 Ends Box. So a bit of variety, I would say, which is a good presentation of the tournament as a whole. But what going into that first ASIM game, what was the first deck that you were thinking of? Oh well, we've got to show this, or we want to show this because it's a story of the tournament or whatever.
We wanted to show Harvey, right?
What do we have?
Okay. What were you excited to watch?
The asymmetric cup, we showed Thomas against Kim.
Frostlass? Oh, it was against Kim, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was against Kim, yeah. That's right. Yeah. But how are your guys' impressions of the top cut?
What, how it played out?
Yeah, just how it played out.
I mean, we didn't see Harvey's loss on stream because we saw him win in top 8, I'm pretty sure. So that was it looked like it was his tournament really because he was EXO and then there was just good matchups around him. But I think it was a 3-game set that he ended up losing. Piotr we hadn't really shown on the stream for a lot of it. So we didn't really see his in-game play. He had some rough time of things, but I also think he made like one crucial mistake in one of his games that cost him straight away. He just didn't proactively Ultra Ball to play around Badu and then just couldn't do anything against the Dragapult. So that was a bit of a shame to show that. Bolly's list of Gardevoir was unorthodox, but Bolly's a really unorthodox player, so we had a really interesting game from him, like getting very close into Harvey, which was quite exciting when you feel like on paper that's just chalked most of the time. You think that's really Zoro favoured.
We can show Bolly's deck here, playing the Brilliant Blender rather than the typical secrets, rather than the typical secret box, or I say secret. Yeah, it's mostly box now, right? Usually.
Yeah, he lent heavily into like Bravery Charms, had no gusting options, right? If I'm
four.
Might have been one. Was it even one or 0?
4 Bravery Charm. What was that?
Was it 1 counter catcher?
1 counter catcher.
1 counter catcher was his only gust.
1 TM Evo. Yeah. And two Scream Cell.
Yeah. But then also... go on.
I was just going to say, he was one who was able to take advantage of, like... I think Harvey had a couple of turns where he just, like, whiffed and just wasn't able to, like, basically force the game.
Which it usually is the typical... It's the typical N Zoroark experience.
And that's despite the trades and the researches, and he still whiffed, and it was just like, Bolly actually has a chance. Took a game, but then it was kind of writing on a wall eventually. If Harvey can just draw like a normal Zoroark player, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive list. Four Night Stretcher as well in that.
That's pretty common, to be fair.
In that list, yeah, pretty good.
And then, so Yuan was playing the same list that Brent brought to the win the previous week. So that's really good stock. Like, that is a great 60 that keeps getting more results even in Milwaukee as well.
Yeah.
So that does seem to be the perfect 60 for Gardevoir, at least for now. And
you would say so?
Put in someone's hands.
For Johan's list?
Yeah, I mean, it's copied Brent, right? So it's 1, 2, and top 8 at another, with lots of other like high placements in lots of other events. So you have to say, like, this is what you put in someone's hands for Gardevoir, and this is what you test against.
Yeah,
I think. There's our second place Dragon Ball player, quite unorthodox. Had the Neo Upper as the A spec when normally you would expect a stamp, and then by playing Neo Upper rather than like Crystal or whatever else, he has the double jamming tower, which I think gives him a much closer Gardevoir, and I think we're going to see more straight pulse, even if it's just 1 tower, 1 artisan. I feel like that's a big card to go for. But then a lot of our top straight Dragapults were playing 4 Brock Scouting. It was both Pedro and Kim that played quad Brock Scouting, which is a pretty bold statement, actually. I don't think we've seen counts that high. It's normally been like a debate of Jacques or Brock, and even then it's in like a 2 count a lot of the time, with Research and Iono still being the creme de la creme, or having like some amount of Arvin just so you can rescue board and budge you. Whereas a lot of these lists are playing the quad Brock and the Lati, and then also having the Genesect in there as well at times.
Is 4 Brock Scouting too excessive, do you think?
I don't love it from what I've practiced, but it's definitely solid, like, just for mid-game plays, but I don't know. I don't love Jacques either, so I feel like having like 2 Brock alongside like 3 or so Arvin, and then still having a couple of I'm at this really weird spot where it's almost like going in that time capsule back to like 2004, where you see like 4 of the best supporter, which is Iono, and then you have like some Research, some Brock, some Arvin, some Boss, like in those 2/3 counts. And I actually think like that sort of variety is correct now because of the engine of Dracloak cherry picking as you go. That having the sort of medium counts of lots of supporters for the utility is superior to just having maximum counts of some that are good at certain times. So it was definitely a statement for the Brock, but from my practice, I prefer a mix and match approach.
I like that we're touching on this, because it seems like going into looking at deck lists from a large amount of players, like say from a regional or whatever. It's very commonplace now to see such drastic changes in every deck list. So if you look at like Thomas's deck list as well, in comparison to Pedro, it is so different. You know, it is completely different. Apart from the Dragapult line and a Fez and a Ursaluna and some of the staple supporters, it's just completely different. It's a completely different approach to the game, really. So we see it the same. I mean, with the Gardevoir list as well.
This is the mix and match that I was talking. Like Thomas's list is much more of the mix and match that I kind of like. I think his is actually quite thin on supporters, interestingly, because he's got the bundle, he's got the Genesect, which means +1 tool as well. But this is the sort of mix and match that I'm a little bit more preferring.
I spoke to him at one point over the weekend, and I just said, it seems like you couldn't choose what your list was going into the
I
tournament.
want to do it all.
Yeah,
Please.
because it's just like you have one of every supporter and no way to find them. So you're just drawing
There's a
into
point
them.
where you're like, ooh.
Oh, I got my Christmas list in. Basically, he's basically playing Cube, and he's just drawing, and he's just playing whatever's available to him.
Maybe that's why I like the mix and match. I like that feeling of.
But you know, fair play to him. I mean, you know, he did really well.
He's a great player.
So you know,
he's getting more and more consistent results over the seasons.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said to him as well. I said, you know, now it's like consistency, because it's just what it is, isn't it? But we got to talk about the Frost/Last Magidori, or the what did you call it? What did you call it? Frankie Dory. Yeah.
Frankie.
Got to speak about this, haven't we? Joe, you're a connoisseur of this deck.
Am I?
Yeah. Yeah, you are. You're our Frost/Last connoisseur. I was almost going to play this this weekend actually.
Why
for
don't
a
you?
laugh.
It's a good deck.
I couldn't find any Frost/Last.
Oh.
I would have got them on next day delivery, but I'm not paying £7 for £4 worth of Frost/Last.
Good point.
Could buy another box of sleeves, but not going to happen.
Yeah, I think ultimately this deck is just very good at griefing the stage 2s. That's really it. It can have slow starts and still find a way through Ichipollen or through corner. It's a simple deck, but it has a very annoying approach that a lot of these a lot of the Dragapults don't even play Candy. I know that you're getting Ichipollen a lot anyway, so that's not always the issue. But this deck can't always Ichipollen like every single turn of the game because it has no engine, so it has these like weird off turns sometimes, so you're not actually doing what you want to do as well as possible. But yeah, it just means that when you are getting devoed, you just have no defense to do anything, and then you can just set up so much with Adrenabrain. Like, we already know that Adrenabrain's a nightmare for Pult, so when you're having like 3 of them sometimes on the board, plus Shrouding, Freezing Shroud, it's just so annoying. And yeah, you've got Corner, you've got Gemstone, which is good on Budgie, you've got Bravery Charm, which we know is just like a huge headache as well. There's just so much that can grief you. There's Stamp Budgie, which we know can always buy turns, and all this deck needs is turns, essentially. Give it enough turns to attach to more monkeys, and then it just becomes like an unbeatable deck.
From what I saw on X, this Maractus seemed like it's like the new card to ask if anybody's got it at 12 o'clock midnight. Like
we saw a lot of Maractus. We saw a lot of Copium Maractus, like panic plays on the stream, but then we also saw like it's time to checkmate Maractus because I've seen their discard pile and they're out.
Yes,
we saw that a couple times.
It seems like the new card to just go, just put it in, see what happens.
Kim did a really cool line where he brocked out Maractus and Genesect on the same turn, attached the tool to Genesect to turn off a Prime Catcher, and then could corner the game away. That was pretty sick, actually.
Yeah, very cool. Did he just not have one more Snow Run? Reason?
I think 3/4 is correct. It's just how many Monkey Dory you need space for on the board.
Okay, just wanted you to clarify. That's fine.
Yeah, it's just it's harder to find the Frost/Last, right? So you just you do it that way around.
Did you guys want to speak about anything else from? We can go through Harvey's list, I suppose, can't we? Just before we go into
we'll talk about Zoroark.
Before the other lists from Milwaukee. For Zoroark.
Continuing with that, are you?
No. So I thought, well, okay. Our first impressions of the Zoroark list was from the Champions League, right? It's from Fukuoka, I think. Yeah.
Fukuoka.
Yeah. And it was very standard. It was just the ends Pokemon, one Bidoof, one Pheasantipity, and it was very straightforward. It was the straightforward package. But now we're starting to see it chop and change over time because people really want to play this archetype, but are finding it difficult either in the mid game or the late game to deal with certain problems, certain threats, and now we see this list ever changing. And yeah, we saw Harvey's list obviously come out on top from the entirety of the other end Zoroark, playing Cleffa, still holding the Bidoof, choosing the Power Glass as well. What were your impressions? And only just the one Reshiram as well, not choosing the regular 2 of. But what was your impression of what were your impressions of the deck on first glance?
I mean, I think I might have highlighted it throughout the weekend. I was a big fan of those attacks which allow you to take multiple prize knockouts on like small little things, right? Flame Body Cannon is super strong right now, and I guess that's why you can kind of lean into that a bit more when you're putting in things like power cards. You can almost like reload it back on pretty quickly and pretty simply. And I don't know. I mean, it just goes to show the impact of something like Manaphy leaving the format, right? Especially when we're going into this kind of stage 2 meta at this stage anyway, at the very least, with Gardevoir and lots of slow pulse, so they're always just going to be the little Dreepies or the Dracloaks. And then Zoroark could take advantage of that. Has a good time into Gardevoir, has hits for weakness, and has the Flame Body Cannon. And then, when you're kind of just taking out little Dracloaks at the same time with Flame Body Cannon, it's pretty good at doing so. Obviously, it has that kind of first attack as a bit of a drawback in terms of the amount of damage that it can output. But 280, it's still enough to kind of tank a hit, then be able to use the Rage attack on Reshiram. So there's a lot of like nuances to it that you can actually get into play. And I quite like this kind of speed build. It's a nice throwback to a lot of decks I've played before, where it's just like, let's just dump my hand and I'll see more cards. I'm under item lock, and I'll just keep going. I'll blow through, and eventually I'll get a Monkey Dory. I have a spare energy I can just attach and just move back over to the body or something, and then I can get going with an actual like Night Joker attack of some sort. I do also like the fact that you can just swing with Darmanitan with reversal energies. Just another cool way if something small gets knocked out quite quickly, like a Cleffa, like a Badu, especially if you're able to lock your opponent out. So there's some really cool, unique game plans here. I'm a fan, and I quite like Prime Catcher when you're going this kind of aggressive route, a lot of aggressive lines, rather than some of the other builds we've seen with like Trolley. I think is what we had with Fabian's build.
Trolley Evo was pretty standard before this.
Yeah, exactly. So just being able to kind of sit behind other Badu, and I maybe it's one of those things where we should see more of Cleffa, because just drawing cards is always just such a nice feeling, especially with a free retreat. You don't even need to worry too much about having to itchy pull on your opponents too much anyway, especially if you're facing up against things like Slowpoke, which what are you inhibiting? You're not stopping a rare candy really, so I'll just draw cards, set myself up, and then away we go.
I think for me the simplicity of the full research for Iono, the appeal is pretty obvious, in just that you see enough cards under Pollen that this deck should be pretty strong into the 2 stage 2s, right? Guardian Pulse, like Alex said, you've got powerful Rage at your side with Monkey Dory, which is a nightmare for Dragapult players, and then you obviously have the Darkness weakness and Flame Bodies for the Gardevoir, that's also just like a massive headache. It's against the wider field where this deck struggles a lot more. You really need to find Defiance Band and Reversal at the right time against something like a Raging Bolt, and you also need to have that against alongside Countercatcher. So seeing no Arven to help cherry pick those combos, or no Cypher Maniac, which is obviously very good with trade, and with Pheasantipity, I feel like you probably should have a bit more nuance in the supporter line, and I think we'll see that from some of the Milwaukee lists. I really like Lucas Singh's attempt at this. And the Power Glass is so huge, actually, to maintain the pressure against these evolution decks, because when you sort of discard your lots with the Flame Body Cannon, you are unable to end PP up that energy back, so because you're always going to be stamped pollened basically by a Dragapult. That's like the go-to response.
The problem I had with the Power Glass there was just finding it, I think.
That's exactly so. This is the reason why I would like an amount of Arven or an amount of Cypher, because it's so vital that if it's in your top 14 cards of your deck, you're laughing. If it's in the bottom, you're pulling your hair out. The difference of like playing a Power Glass, or even something random like a Janine's Secret Technique or something, is that you could have the next turn to try and draw that and still keep going. So even though that's like quite a bad card, I could see that maybe like having a chance in the deck list. So I think there's a bit more nuance with the support account, but the statement of 4 Iona 4 research is huge, and the Cleffa that was kind of yoinked from Brent's idea of Gardevoir is a really good one. So there was a lot that Harvey was like right on the money with, but I do think for a wider field it's still tough for this archetype overall. You would think it's go on.
No. So I would like to see one or two more Arven in here. because I feel like just on top of that, the turns in which to find the Defiance bands are so game defining usually. Finding that Defiance band for that last 30 damage to keep up with the prize trade, because it's so hard with this deck to keep up with that because you have that damage limitation, either with the Reshiram or using the Damanitan. Say if it's the mid game for me where I find Zoroark really is quite underwhelming. So sometimes having to find those Defiance bands to keep up is super, super important. And you just rely. You have the trade, of course. You're seeing best part of 6 cards, extra cards per turn, draw 1, 7. So you should be able to find it, but it's the times that you don't find it. But then again, that's Pokemon, isn't it?
Some of the aggressive decks like Dengo and Bolt put you on the spot to find CC band reversal, and a research and 2 trades don't always get you there, and that's the real pain. I feel like having Cypher would be a big deal. Yep,
and that's exactly what Fabian did. But going on to Milwaukee then. So we've got we'll just touch upon that because we're actually 51 minutes in, guys. Can't believe it.
Speed it up, boy.
But looking at day one,
we don't have best of the rest.
Look at day one then. So Dragapult again top. It's only 16% this time, so just under. It's under 20% compared to Sevilla. Then we have Gardevoir, Munkidori, then Miraidon with a huge uptick coming in third, knocking Raging Bolt off the third perch. Then Goldingo at 8%, then Raging Bolt coming in with 7.7, and then Goldingo. Dragapult at 6.3. I think the only surprises there, of course, being that Miraidon had such an uptick compared to being off the graphic even at Sevilla. But I think it's more. I think there's this running joke on X being that it's the new. I'm not gonna say brainless. It's not brainless, but it's the new linear archetype. Let's call it that. In comparison to Raging Bolt, and then Goldingo Dragapult actually making the top graphic as well.
I think it's crazy that Goldingo combined would be second on this list here. That's actually nuts. That would be like almost 15.
That is 15%. Yeah. On the nose.
That's I think that's a story in itself, to be honest.
That's high. Yeah, very high.
Yeah.
Any thoughts going into this then, in comparison to Sevilla?
I mean, the Goldingo is the big one. I think it's reasonable for people to have had that extra week to test Miraidon and pull the trigger on it versus these other aggressive decks. And I think, it's hard to look past the strength of Iron Hands just pumping through. And if Gardevoir's just won the last couple majors, that some of the very best will be playing that. So that deck does give you a really good shot into Guardy. And Pult as well at times. So
no, fair enough.
Yeah, it's a good metagame call, and it had that top 8 placement, and then again continued that success in Seville. So just more reinforcement that it's a decent pick.
Yeah, fair enough. And then going into day 2 then, because there was no best of the rest graphic I could at least find. And then day 2, we have Dragapult retaining the top spot at 18.8%, and then Miraidon getting into second over Gardevoir being in third, and then Goldingo Dragapult then at 7.4% in fourth place. Then Raging Bolt 7.4 as well, with the same amount of decks representing at 7.4%, and then Goldingo at 5% as our 6th placed. Most represented. But then I've got the let me just get onto the statistics then for Milwaukee
on labs,
because on labs
while you do that, I can just quickly do the day 1 sort of best of the rest that would have been there. So it would have next been Terrabox, then Flareon, then hold on, I'm on the wrong thing.
I think that's right. With the grouping off, that's what it would be.
Terrabox, Flareon, then Zoroark, then Archaladon, then Roaring Moon.
You can see like a big drop off from Zoroark as well.
Yeah, Zoroark 4.6%, Archaladon 3.82%, then the sort of 2 and 1%ers of Moon, Monkey, Charizard, Terrapagos, Noctowl, that sort of stuff.
So
it's pretty in line, I think.
Pretty similar apart from the Joltik box, right? compared to Sevilla.
That small
Yeah.
bump for the Zoroark, obviously it had that placement from Harvey that gave some people confidence, but not enough just yet.
Not as many one deck representatives, one-ofs in Milwaukee, but it was a high count of the top archetypes being like Dragopods and Joltik Box and Gardevoir. 60 Dragapult, 22% of the share going into day 2. That is massive. But again, much like Sevilla, it didn't seem like a Dragapult fest from the stream as a watcher. So they were blessed with the variety on the top tables, I suppose. But then
That's some SME magic right there.
Yes, exactly. Any thoughts on day 2 meta before we get into the top 8?
The big converters were were straight Dragapult, Joltik Box, Dengopolt, and Roaring Moon is far less played, so maybe a bit inflated, but also had like a 32% day 1 to 2 conversion. So those were some of the big winners. Raging Bolt not doing great. Regular Golden Go having a terrible time of things, day 1 to 2.
Are you forgetting Okidogi and slacking at 100%?
I am, yes.
You mean, yeah.
Not forget. I'm just
not
mentioning.
Gouging
not
fire,
mentioning.
100%.
And gouging fire. And for Alligator. Sorry, are we missing something with slacking? Because I'm feeling a bit,
I think it was the same list as Bernardo as well. The same 60.
Was it the same? Was it actually?
I think it was. Hold on, let me make sure.
That's hilarious.
I'm on the wrong website to do that now. Annoying. I can't bother to go back to normal limits.
It was the same list.
Come on!
Brilliant.
From 49th in Seville to 248th in...
That's a 200% conversion for the same slacking list.
That is some quick maths. That's brilliant.
The only other thing I didn't look at the Seville in too much detail here, but the other we were talking about Guardi being a set list that was like really good if you want to put it into a Gardevoir list into someone's hands right now. We've always had this debate whether Slowpoke or Dragapult Dustoir was always which one's better. For a long time, I think in the early stages of this post-rotation format, it was Dragapult Dustoir because it has those tricks up its sleeves around trying to just kind of curse blast its way out. But we're starting to see a shift in that dynamic now. So if you do look on labs.limitlesstcg.com and they start to split it out, you actually start to see a lot of the kind of slow pulse actually have a greater share now, whereas before it used to be the other way around. Which is actually another interesting thing to take note of.
There's also a great new feature on labs.limitlesstcg. If you go onto metagame, you can add as many tournaments as you like. That's the combined conversion, and that's the same thing as you're saying, Alex.
Yeah.
Where the 4 majors we've had put Straight Pot at 27.5%, whereas Dragadusk is at 12.28%. So it really is the fraud alert list, and you could easily group the two and think, oh, Dragapult's doing well every tournament. Well, no, it's specifically the Straight Pot that is really overperforming the field. And the Dustoir build is very much underperforming that field. It
doesn't surprise me. I think decks can get around the prize trade a lot easier now than they could before.
The Dustoir, you mean?
Yeah.
I think it's just that it's so dead in mirror that it just hurts you. And one of the highest placing lists in Milwaukee that did play Dustoir still had Monkey Dory Luminous, so it was like a hybrid. So you weren't losing out in mirror, which I think is like such a big deal because. If you're playing Dragapult Dustoir, you're unfavored against Guardi, and then you're unfavored against some of the Draga mirrors, and that's just a horrible spot to be in, right? You're inevitably going to do terribly. The Dustoir gives you extra percentages into some of the aggressive decks, but you're going to be hitting those stage 2s, so you need to have at least Monkey Dory in your Pult list, I think.
Yeah.
Before we move on to just obviously the performances and the top cut, I'm kind of interested in hearing both your takes on. Because I played Slowpoke pre this rotation, and I jammed in one rare candy just because I was like, one rare candy, I feel like can take me so far in the game, and we kind of spoke about it a little bit before. People are still not doing that. What's the reasons why? I guess is my question for everyone.
Well, I've always had one, so it's hard for me to answer.
Okay,
and
fine.
also, we saw Labella beating all of his Pult players by sniping the one cloak every freaking turn. So if there was one candy at any point, they'd lose the game. But anyway, who am I to say? Who am I to say,
Right,
Alex?
so me and Joe are on the same wavelength. That's fine.
No, I'm on the
Then
same.
tell me why.
You wouldn't. It wouldn't be surprising that I'm on the same wavelength as yourself. Even though I didn't play the one in Gardevoir, it's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? Just having the
you're
one.
saying, like back when there was refinement.
Yeah. Back when there was refinement. Sorry, yeah, should have clarified.
It's one of those where it's like,
but I
just
think
having that option feels great, right?
Sure
Surely.
does. Sure does.
I'm not to preach about maybe a list that's doing worse right now, but
You genius.
Yeah,
moving on.
yeah.
One candy, not bad, confirmed.
Gabriel.
I suppose
Fernandez
the
is
question
bad, so-
is, on that one item search in your first couple of turns, would you rather search for a candy more often than not over something else?
It's almost like it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be early because you can just spring us, surprise mid game or late game.
Yeah.
When you need to, like if you need to just like get a Dreepy out of range of some sort of damage counter shenanigans, like you just rare candy up to a big more to a big. Your kind of stuff.
I'd probably play it in the Neo Upper Energy or Crispin builds, for sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Extra benefit there for sure.
Yeah.
Even EXP sharing a Dreepy is like much better if you play a candy, right?
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah,
I don't know. It's like it's one of those things where you can try and navigate your list to hit Drakcloak as much as possible, so you hit as many Drakcloaks as possible, but then you have no fallback versus spending a space to let you whiff and then still get there, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those sorts of things.
Mm.
Yeah, I do like the one candy. I know, again, it might be the simple frame of like, if I hit top tables, I'm facing Baju or Buju. So I can't candy anyway, and this is the worst card to see. But I feel like that flexibility is worth a spot in my list.
But then again,
the
even
crazy thing, Badu doesn't happen the whole game. There will be a turn.
that's what I was about to say.
There
So
will be a spin turn.
just
You
that
could be
one
wiped
turn.
by
game
then,
now.
though. You could be wiped by that.
That
point.
one turn.
But I also think a lot of the checkmate of Pult Mirrors and Guardy to an extent is that they can take a cloak and a Dragapult at the same time. So having a candy does get around that as well. Still, so yeah.
What do we know?
I don't know.
Right?
I like the candies. So I'm not gonna like. It's in my current straight Pult.
Yeah. Well, anyway.
But looking then at
Move
the
on.
top cut of the regional, then we had 14. So we had a 6, right? Yeah. So 6 make the additional asymmetrical cut. But just going through the decks represented, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Dragapults going into the top 14. But then 1, 2, 3, 3 of them being three of them being Dust Noir. Then we had 1 Raging Bolt. We had 1 Joltik box. We had 1 Eevee box, and we had 2 Zoroark and 2 Gardevoir. So pretty varied. Pretty varied, to be honest. We saw all the top decks being represented. We didn't see any of them kind of fall off. So we had the Dragapult, we had Gardevoir, we had Joltik box, even though there was only 1.
Right. The 15% Golden Go and non-converted.
Yes. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. And then we had the 2 Zoroark box just sneaking in there as well, and the Raging Bolt also taking the top spot in the end of the day, but and not even losing the entire tournament, which is pretty massive as well. Yeah, pretty good. We'll come on to Christian's deck in a moment. But let's have a look at those Zoroark lists, because we have
Random.
I know, but we have mentioned a few times of how
We did start there. Yeah.
how different the lists are over time. And
Should we
Zoroark
start
definitely.
with the biggest card for me.
Do we want to start with Lucas's
Bombardier,
first?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they both played Bombardier.
Yeah.
Fast carrier, pretty cool attack, but I don't know if this is how good this is. Maybe I haven't tried it properly, but
I think
Joe, you
what
look
they
like a
wanted
man
to
that's
do,
disappointed
I,
in this card.
I think what they wanted to do is they wanted to opt second, play Cyrano, get a Bombardier and 2 Zoroark, and then get into 2
Go on.
Zorua, right? With
But
the
that's such a big combo. You have to exactly lead N's Castle to do that.
Yeah.
Or
I don't-
lead Cleffa or
I-
Budgie.
how why else would you play it then?
Well, so for my money, it's the least invasive cornerstone answer you can play that has upside of sometimes starting it, and it can get itself off the board. So for me, it's Let's Not Lose to Cornerstone, because that's a card that exists in the game, and this is the best one we have. Similar to how there was a Hooper EX in Fabian's list. That's a big, dumb, freaking idiot if you start it. Whereas if you start
Yeah.
Bombardier, you're cruising. And again,
Yeah.
like, you have Bombardier, Cleffa, Budgie, what's that, like a 30-odd% to have
Are you really
a
that?
lead
Are you really
and
that
actually
scared
get
of?
into the fast carrier?
Are you really that scared of Cornerstone?
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not terrified, but you lose on the spot, right? It's like, I don't want to lose on the spot.
Sure.
I can flame body cannon, but they're just going to vital aim me or something. Just,
Vitally. Don't laugh at that, because I do have a sleeve downstairs. Can we not?
exactly, they're prepared
Can we-
for you, Ram.
Can we not, please? It's such a good card.
We win. What, attach, power glass, and one.
You've
next
got Power
turn,
Glass
one
and
attack.
E-Switch in the list. Yeah, so you can do you can PP up E-Switch as well. So
Well,
But we-
I
but
mean,
we
Evans-
spoke about-
Evans' list doesn't have an E-switch,
But-
right?
But we spoke about the Zoroark list being so difficult to work around the kind of searchables. So for Defiance Band, for the Power Glass, it's difficult to find at the right times. But in this circumstance, you got the one E-Switch, you got the one Black Belts training. I know that.
Switch's list, right?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's not
yeah,
going to
sorry.
help with search, but
No. I'm saying it's hard to search.
well,
You got-
I
you
mean,
got- you got the
Lucas's
secret
list,
box, I
you
guess.
do play a cipher, you do play a secret box, so you do have, I guess, additional outs.
You do have
right,
ways,
when you're
yeah.
drawing through your deck with trade anyway, and like secret box just unlocks a lot of these pieces, right? In one.
Yeah, I guess you do have ways, but I mean, just I don't know. I guess I'd have to play the list to.
I mean,
I
With
much
Cyrano,
prefer
you're-
this list.
Yeah, you're bursting through the deck because you're just getting your Zoroarks down, right? That's the key thing. You've still got 4 buddy buddies. This time you've got four buddy buddies. I think Harvey played 3. You've got two Artisan and 2 Ends Castle. You're happy
That's a
with
surprise
4?
to me.
Yeah, it seems
It's
heavy,
just
but Artisan's a good card, right? To build your bench and build your board. So you're getting
but you
into the
can't.
game.
Can you? Yeah, you can still get into budget, but you spend your attachment. Yeah, I mean it's okay.
you spend your
I feel
attachment.
like
You've got Ends PP up, right? So
yeah, I mean I
It's
feel
kind
like Nest Ball is still just a good card. You know, it plays none.
Oh
good
yeah.
point.
It doesn't play any Nest Ball or Ultra
It
Ball.
plays no Nest Ball, so it's a tough Darumaka. You're relying, and also a lot of people give you Artisan for free anyway. So you would much rather have against all those matchups a Nest Ball in your deck a lot of the time.
Hang on.
So it doesn't play any Nest
So-
Ball or Ultra Ball.
So your
So
only way
you're-
to like actually search
And-
out Fez and Ursaluna is the
Serrano.
Especially when you play box, you would want one Nest in your deck because there are times
Yeah.
when you want Darumaka, not Zorua as well. So I think one Artisan, one Nest is an easy upgrade.
Imagine, this just feels bad. Imagine having to find your Ursaluna EX from deck and an Iono in your first turn, in your last couple of turns.
Trade, baby. Come on.
Trade it away. Trade the Ursaluna away and stretch it back. It'll be fine.
Trade it away, super run it back in the deck.
Super
Try and
run.
find it
Oh
again.
man,
Come on.
I need to play this
Yeah,
list.
like I do like Cyrano. I would try and fit full Iono, and I think a Nest Ball is just a common sense card over second Artisan. Like I don't mind one Artisan, but playing zero
Yeah.
Nest Ball is also just weird. I think.
I think
And also,
the 4 stadiums is definitely like something. It's very heavy. Like, what are you trying to avoid, or trying to bump, or trying to get
This-
into play?
Yeah.
There's so many occasions as well.
Great
where you want-
questions. Great questions.
There's so many occasions where I want to use the flame body cannon like turn 2, like ASAP against like a Gardevoir or a Dragapult. And
I guess
this,
that's like quite
it
why
just
I quite
this
like
list just makes it
Harvey's,
so much harder to do.
I do quite like Harvey's version of like, you know, you got the free Darumaka's because you're having to kind of just discard a lot of things anyway.
Yeah.
Just bursting through. But again, as Joe said, it means you're good into those top 2 matchups. But then if you, in the first couple of rounds or few rounds, you might hit some more rogue matchups, and this would be able to handle that a lot better, right? So,
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
So it's the trade-off that you...
Ha ha! Tip for the cap to Alex Dow. Go on.
Very good.
Yeah.
But then looking at the rest of the decks then, we do have the Joltik box. We can have a look at that. Alex Chandler's
Can
deck.
we just go with a winner, please?
Oh, we can? Yeah. Let's go with the winner. Let's go with Christian's. All
Can
right.
we go with the undefeated winner of the tournament?
You're
for a
busy
bet?
tonight, are you? Oh, God. Can't book you in enough. Can't book you in the
1
time.
hour.
You started with 14th
Honestly.
place.
Oh, God. All right, fine. We still have so much to cover.
We have a lot to cover.
So then we have the Raging Bolt Ogobon taking the win, going without a loss the entire tournament, which is pretty rare, especially for an archetype like this as well.
Bonkers.
But then it's got all the new tricks of the trade. It's got that new baby Raging Bolt. I say new because you know we only go through so many podcasts, so it's 2 weeks is a long time in TCG land. But yeah, what are your interpretations of the new Raging Bolt?
So I quite like Raging Bolt, to be fair. And I do just want to really I really like this list. I think the only card
first time you've ever said that sentence with a straight
I know. I still don't like it.
I'm going to come on to a really interesting question to throw to you guys in a moment. The only card that I'm debating is if there should be like a Turo in the list, because that's something that we've practiced and quite liked. And also Second Retrieval is a card that I kind of do like in this list as well a lot of the time. But in the US, we've had Christian and also Caleb get victories with Raging Bolt in recent times. And I think this is generally one of the most top player stigmatized decks over the last like 2 seasons.
Yeah, because I don't like it. So.
And every now and then we see a sort of, I'm swallowing my pride, I'm playing Bolt for this event, and they end up winning it. Is it just a snobbery thing that has held back this archetype?
I don't think it's
more and more results, because how often do we say it's the player that's carried a deck as far as possible, and just how few truly elite players have played Raging Bolt over the last few majors. It's really like it has enough tricks now with the representing one prize board, using Raging Bolt effectively, which Labella did a lot on the stream, right? That was like his go-to route. Every Dragapult was choosing second into him, so every turn 1 he would get an attachment on a Bolt, and turn 2 he's cherry-picking a Dreepy into a cloak, and then suddenly they're pooping their pants and can't do anything, essentially. So, like, he was making child's play of some of these Dragapults. I know some of them drew, like, suboptimally, of course, which helps, but even if they weren't, he'd be racing ahead in a prize race, and there's a Raging Bolt that they can't ignore, which ruins their map a lot of the time as well. So, like, I feel like it's really under-respected by the top players. It's, like, generally played by a lot of players, but it's always laughed off by its, like, day 1 to 2 metagame conversion, because it's never the very best players of the game. But I feel like it is it's more than capable of winning any given event for its strengths. Like, its truest, weakest matchup, I would say, is, like, God of War, which is, like, a genuine concern. But other than that, I feel like it has just been hated on by too many people.
You don't think it like loses to like Ogopon either?
No, Terrorbox is fine. Like, why is Terrorbox that bad? You've got Slitherwing for peak. You can not give up an easy 2 against them quite often from Wellspring. You've got Jamming Tower as well, which can, like, try and deny a crystal. Like, you're both Noctowl engines, right? So if you get to go first, you're the one owling first anyway, so you're normally representing pressure.
You know
Like,
what?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I-
concerned
I-
about
Its
Flareon,
general
maybe, but
online data is actually pretty good across the board.
What a deck! What a deck!
So
It's a consistent deck. Like I
Yeah,
know it doesn't.
It's
I know you
consistent.
can't
It's
do
consistent. It does what it does
too,
well.
You can't
Well-
do too much with a deck, but like I really like that in majors these days. I really like having easy decisions throughout my tournament. It's great.
I'll play the Sada, I guess.
100%.
This is all
I
the
think-
prelude to me saying I'm bringing Raging Bolt to Portland next week in 2 weeks' time. Come on.
I mean, it's one of the. I think what's always held it back is it won like a. Didn't it win? It won a Champions League, right?
Yeah.
Which obviously put it on the map, and then everyone was like, "Oh, it's got this linear game plan. It's easy to pick up." And then there was just like a raft of players that played it, just not to good finishes. And I think when you have that kind of not stigma, but kind of view on a deck because it's been performing so badly because everyone thinks they're just picking up because it's easy, but then they're going into different formats, which makes it a little bit more difficult as well. Caleb's one, he had the bravery charms in, right?
His
That was
list
more
very
like
unique.
yeah, that was quite a teched out list almost for
It was
that
a
meta game.
capitalized on a meta. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas Christian's one, I think it's just, I mean, maybe because of the way it's built now, and maybe the way that Raging Bolts had to kind of adapt rather than kind of burst through the way it used to. It just has more answers to things. You kind of mentioned it about just being able to just sit with a single prize board when it needs to, and still do this kind of awkward sniping stuff. My biggest question to you was I haven't been able to try and open up his route to this victory. I think
his
what you normally
matchups.
could see on Poker Data, because it just crashes because it has too many players for me. I don't know what happens.
Let me try and
Well, you want to see his.
I want to see his run. I want to see what his matchups were.
So he played
Everyone's going to look and
God
is it
of
just me that
War.
it crashes then?
He played God of War, Dragapult, Zoroark, round 1. He won that one.
that was a win.
Tied to Dragapult, tied to God of War. Nathan Doyle made it all the way there from Ireland. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Quinn O'Brien with Archludon.
I don't need to know the names.
Just to the decks. Dengo Pole, Joltik, Guardy, Flareon, Dengo, Flareon, Guardy, tied a Joltik,
Okay.
and then beat Guardy Pult.
I
So
think.
he faced,
What's that
faced-
game plan against Gardevoir?
He
I mean,
beat,
it's
he
quite
beat
comfortable,
3 Guardy and tied 1.
right? That's,
Oh, he beat
that-
4 Guardy and tied 1,
Well,
including Brent Tonneson, who's twice. He
the-
beat Brent twice.
I think the thing is, well, is it just Raging Bolt Stretcher, and just hope?
Well, I think the judge is a big card. I think just sort of fan rotem judge. Oh, you didn't get Candy Guardy. Oh, I guess I'll take another prize. Now I'm on evens, and you have to get Guardy EX out twice, and I can blow those up.
Yes.
that one-off judge boy.
Well, that's always been the
Big-
case, right?
big
With
judge.
that's always been the case with Gardevoir. If
Oh, I guess
even,
it's not
regardless if they're playing Raging Bolt or Goldengo, it's always had the stigma of being a good matchup. But if they go 2 or 3 prizes up before you, it's anybody's
It only
game.
has
of
to be
that.
2. I mean, they have
anybody's
that
game
as
of that.
well. So like,
I guess.
if you
I
get
guess
2
it's,
ahead,
I say
you're
2 or 3
right.
only because of maybe you have 2 or whatever. But
Like Guardy needs to fez a lot these days as well, so that's an easy pick-ins at some
especially
point.
true.
especially Brent's
That's
build,
true.
right? Because that draw engine is almost
yeah,
non-existent.
I'm thinking of pre-rotation. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've deduced from speaking about this, the last 2 events we've just been talking about. We worked out that there's a couple of broken cards that you need to play in your list if you want to do well in the next tournament, right? Some form of judge,
God!
and a single price sniper.
Genius.
A single price sniper
yeah,
and judge
get Darmanitan going with something.
with some judge. So you're saying if I play judge in my Zoroark, I win?
Judge and
Is that what
Zoroark.
you're saying?
You've got a single
It's
prize
so
board to
bad.
begin with. Let's go. But yeah, it's fair play. I mean, I didn't expect to see a 4-1 record against Gardevoir because I naturally would have been like, ugh,
Yeah,
he's so lucky. He
I
just
didn't-
faced.
I didn't see the run up, but
He didn't even face his good matchups. He didn't even face any Zoroarks. He didn't even face the.
Well, he played our challenge.
The rest of them are good matchups. Sure, that's obviously.
Arch is pretty free, yeah.
And Dragapult's good, right? You wouldn't have played this without having a good Dragapult matchup.
No, you wouldn't play. You shouldn't be playing.
Sure.
the
It's
deck,
fine.
you-
It's fine in Dragapult. Yeah, we know it's fine. In
It's
Dragapult.
fair.
And
I think it's
Joltik's
fair,
pretty good,
right?
right? Joltik's good. I guess I'd say Joltik's good.
Pikachu's
Joltik's
annoying.
fine.
Yeah,
No, you got Slithery Boy.
Oh yeah, good point. Oh yeah.
and plus they can't hit 240, right?
Who, Pikachu? Yeah.
Well, yeah, we're Pikachu. Yeah, sure. Once a game.
Lily's Clefairy as well.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just a classic.
okay,
it's just
fair
a
enough,
classic.
fair
Let's race,
It's-
boy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's my
We'll go
favourite.
into that mode, is it?
It's
That's
just
my favourite
you
type of
you've
game.
jolted something. I'll prime catcher one of them.
Gotta practice my raging bolt.
I guess before we finish though, we got to speak about our next tournament. I suppose.
Hold on, can we quickly talk about Ian's Flareon because it's Ian's
Yeah.
high profile player
What?
with,
Sure.
with Flareon.
I did see a stream match. It was pretty good.
I've been playing a lot of this exact list.
Because you're a fan of this, aren't you?
I'm a low key fan. You know,
you're a fan
I
of
love
it.
a Jewel Seeker. Before
I
Watchtower
do.
comes out, I want to get
love a
one
bit of
more.
Jewel Seeker.
So this is
Yeah.
why I've been standing Raging Bolt because I want to play a Jewel Seeker deck before the Watchtower comes out.
I think this is the only deck that can play Briar without any problem. I suppose.
Yeah, it's definitely a good Briar deck.
Yeah.
Ian on the stream on one of his interviews was like, my game plan into Gardevoir is to dodge it, which is obviously tongue in cheek because it's Ian Robb. But I think again that's one of the real concerns of this deck. But it's interesting that this is a Flareon that wasn't playing Wellspring. I feel like a lot of the Japanese lists all lean quite heavily into Wellspring Ogapon for initiating a race into some stuff. But Ian's just saying that I'm going to Burning Charge into Budew against both Guardy and Pult. And I'm hoping the combination of either Weakness or Angelite can carry me in a lot of spots. And I do think Angelite... The more I've played with Angelite, the more it's just got me out of absurd ruts. It's so disgusting. I think that the next thing I'm debating... The only thing I'm still debating in Ian's list is whether or not you should play a second one of any of the 3 EV one-offs that he has. And also I think Cyrano is good in this list, either alongside the Brock Scouting or instead of it. I think Cyrano does go really hard in the deck as a Budew-proof Jewel Seek play to just get you the goods. I'm definitely a Flareon believer. It's a cool deck.
Yeah, a turn 2 Cyrano, if you manage to get the double attachments, sounds pretty good, right?
It's also not that weird to get random boosted evolution burning charges in if you go second. You can sometimes just high roll Crispin in hand or Crystal in hand and actually get swinging, so kind of cool.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Okay, well, do we want to talk about our next tournament in the schedule?
Yeah,
For a little bit.
Yeah,
I suppose.
big tournament for some of us.
Big tournament next week. Oh, honestly, they come thick and fast now, don't they?
Especially excited.
especially-
Joe's gonna come down at you like a hammer.
Especially with kids. Yeah, so
you're
you're
not going
tracked.
to it, are you?
You're tracked next week. What are we expecting? Are we expecting fireworks? Are we expecting much different? Are we expecting just as much variation in deck lists as we have
I
been?
think the decks themselves are settled, but list variation is still ongoing. I think. I think that's going to be the main takeaways here. I don't think you can do much to change Bolt or Miraidon or even Dengo that much, to be honest. But I think there's still hot debate over Dragapult and the Flareon, the Zoroark. Certainly the Zoroark has a lot of debate still. Like, that is a real box of tricks. When someone flips over a Zoro against you, you do not know what's within there.
I think until one of them has a real standout result, like a second or a first, I don't think people will follow. I say a standout result. It downplays the top 4, but until I think it gets a second or a first at a major major tournament. I don't think people will be comfortable playing one list over the other for Zoroark.
I mean, Lucas is a top player, right? I feel like that's the blueprint that you start with.
Yeah, but we spoke about that.
Bombardier is so
we spoke about that list for about
edgy.
10 minutes. We spoke about that list for about 10 minutes about how...
Exactly.
About how you can. I'm sorry.
Yeah, like you can make changes. Yeah, like
No.
sure you can make a couple of changes. Obviously, like a hive mind generally will always improve on a blueprint that's brought to you, right?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Fair enough.
That's a-
Fair enough. What about you, Alex?
Not always, I suppose, but
You looking forward to the next tournament then, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I would be if my passport is currently being held hostage. So
You don't have to go into the details, mate. It's fine.
yeah, just one of those things. Yeah, which it just means I might not be able
Brexit
to
means
make it to Utrecht.
Brexit.
Cheers, guys.
Did reform win in your area?
It's-
Is that what's
it's-
happened? You're taking your passport away.
It's finally your true colours are finally showing. You
They came knocking on your door.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I still hope to make it out to Utrecht, but yeah, timing wise, it might not be able to be possible.
I think you'll be fine. I remember when I applied for my visa for Cap America. It doesn't take that long. Oh well, it didn't back then anyway.
Well, yeah, wait, it's 2025, so
Yeah, it's
see
a
how-
very
see how it
different
goes.
time.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I'd be looking forward to it. I really like Utrecht. We've had a couple of tournaments there now. Just a really cool city away from the hustle and bustle of Amsterdam, and just and you guys are obviously going to be enjoying yourselves as you are both.
We're both there. Yes.
Exactly.
Certainly there.
Yeah, I loved Utrecht last year. It was brilliant. It's just off the radar of Amsterdam, isn't it? Just one little train ride away. And it's kind of like it's kind of like a mall, isn't it? Like a mall, like complexy bit outside the train station. Get all your food. I had norovirus when I went last time. Just getting over norovirus, so I treated myself to all sorts of food as soon as I arrived, which was lush. Yeah, which was pretty good. Yeah, I'm currently hand shuffling for alligator for my cup tomorrow, so I'll have to. You guys will have to stay tuned as to what I'm playing tomorrow.
The try hard deck now. I'm realizing you're
so close to Ace Trainer rewards. You going for Ace Trainer rewards this year, or?
Are you an Ace?
Anyway, corner.
It's this. You can't attack this one because it's like it's got the Brilliant. All right. Well, we can wrap it up there. Anything you guys are up to over the weekend then?
Finally, a quiet one before all the travel kicks off. I'm going to be jet setting in May and June. So.
Nice. So is it just a weekend on the sofa?
Oh yeah.
Very good. Very good. Dan, what about yourself?
Yeah, weekend on Joe's sofa. No, no, nothing too planned either. I didn't even realize I've forgotten that cups exist and things like that at the moment. There's just too much big tournaments happening.
I'm not playing in barely any anymore. I'm playing in one tomorrow, and that's my only one of the quarter. So I really need to get my face out there.
When you drive, boy, you're going to be up and down the country.
Oh, when I drive, I told Harriet, I said, as soon as I get on the road.
She's going to be hiding the keys. Yeah, she's going to be hiding the keys.
Off to Joe's. I'll see you later.
Sorry, I've got to scoot to someone down.
There's going to be one time where Ben does that, and Harriet just puts Nelly in the car seat, and he doesn't know.
Joe just messaged me. He says, Joe just messaged me. He said he has my hat. Like, oh, gotta go. Brilliant. All right.
Very good.
Well, we'll wrap it up there.
Well, good luck to you, Rav. Good luck.
No worries.
Yeah, let us know.
I'll update you all.
We'll post it on our
sure.
The SpilltheTeaCG Twitter.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You're round by round.
Yeah. Round 1. I won.
Yeah. Can that be your diary entries that we're still missing out on?
Oh, you don't want my diary entries. They were mostly about how I was playing mind games with Harriet and on holiday about, she was nagging me about something, and then I was trying to
What's
win.
the mind game? Sorry, what's the mind game?
I was just trying to play mind games. It's quite funny. I don't know if I have it on my notes somewhere.
I'm terrified of this.
I was trolling Harriet, and we're calling it mind games, is it?
Pretty much.
My Safari diary has actually been typed up and lots of pictures in a
Really?
real book.
Oh, that's so
when
good.
you
Real
next come
book.
round, you can see it. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Is it like, those old photo albums you find of like your grandparents, and they take pictures and then it goes underneath, oh, so and so, and then
exactly
such a
like
date. Oh, that's
It's
brilliant.
exactly like that.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, with like
That's such a
quotations
good-
under some of the pictures and stuff.
Oh, that's so good.
Incredible.
Right.
It's
Okay.
so white. It's brilliant.
All right, here we go. I'm getting kicked
Very
out of
good.
this chat at the moment, aren't I?
Right.
Back to the water.
Well, we'll definitely end it there. Right. Okay. All right. Catch you all in a
Bye.
bit. Night. Bye. 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 Bye.